Everybody, Rosa here, and welcome to part 24 of my Umineko Let's Play. In the last episode, we got to the part where the letter is sent, basically saying that the game is afoot, and everybody has to try and solve the epitaph, but it seems like the adults are actually taking it seriously this time, especially Ava, because now she knows that if she solves this riddle, she'll be able to take, head of the family, which is what she's always wanted. So with the adults now, taking this seriously, that leads me to believe that maybe we'll get closer to some answers here. Also, we were introduced to Beatrice's furniture demon butler, Ronave. I hope I'm saying that right, and he definitely seems like a fan favorite based on the comments. So I'm interested to learn more about him. But it looks like the game is afoot now, so we are going to go ahead, jump in, and see what happens next.
なるほどな。魔女じゃなく、ベアトリーチェという名の愛人が島に存在していたわけか。つまり、人間は18人以上いる。ということは、18人全員に不可能だから、魔法犯罪である。という図式は崩せるわけだ。これは大きい情報だぜ。
失礼いたします。マトラ様、紅茶とクッキーはいかがですか?
So you guys like this guy. There was a lot of excitement about this guy showing up. So I'm curious to see what his deal's all about. Beato's butler, who called himself Renove, I'm probably saying that wrong, I apologize, appeared out of nowhere. In particular, placed upon the silver tray that he held was a plate filled with delicious-looking steaming black tea and cookies. I really don't like this guy's smile. For some reason, it doesn't look like a smile used to warmly greet a guest. It feels like he's making fun of me for some reason. I don't know whether he really takes me for an idiot, or whether it's just a joke or something, but it's really irritating me.
いらねえよ。俺は今取り込み中なんだ。放っておいてくれ。
おやおや、それは美味しく焼けたクッキーなのに、とても残念です。人間ごときにはもったいないくらいに素敵に焼き上がった。それは素敵なクッキーなのに。
気が向いたら食ってやるぜ。その辺に置いて、とっとと失せな。
It's like he's the underworld's Goda. He's just so proud of his cooking.
さようでございますか。それでは、そのようにいたしますよ。冷めてからお召し上がりになって、焼きたてを召し上がらなかったことを、存分に後悔なされると良いでしょ
う。いちいちうるさいやつだな。まあ、耳元で気色悪くケラケラ笑うベアトのやつよりゃ、数段マシだがよ。
いえいえ、まったく。お嬢様の笑い声は時折、実に品があります。
These guys can become bros where they're just bitching about Beatrice.
それを聞くたびに、なぜ私ほどの高貴な悪魔があのようなものを主にしなければならないのか理解に苦しむのでございますよ。
He's like, no, not you. Don't start cackling too.
変なやつだな。そんなに嫌なら使えなきゃいいだろうが。
それでもなおお使いするのが家具の喜びなのでございますよ。それでなくては家具は務まりません。それはさておき、ゲームの方はいかがでございますか？先ほど良い情報を見つけたようなことを言われ、お喜びになられていたようですが。
So I wonder if this guy is going to become like Battlers, if he's going to become an ally, if he's going to pretend to be an ally and maybe give him information but actually betray him, or is he just going to be an observer who just watches what happens?
さてさて、どのような朝知恵が思いついたやら。
As Ronove made fun of me and giggled, he followed my earlier words to the letter and placed the black tea and cookies somewhere arbitrary nearby.
お方、19人目の存在に自信を深めたからでございましょう。よろしければ、ぜひご考説をお聞かせ願いますか?
Badler's saying this like this is a fact about a mistress being out in the woods somewhere. It hasn't been confirmed. All the siblings are saying that they had strong suspicions, but And Beatrice hasn't come in with her red truths to confirm or deny that.
ああ、いいぜ。どうせベアトの前で改めて言うしな。隠す必要もないさ。いいか、この島に隠し屋敷があって、愛人を住まわせていたらしいんだ。となりゃ、俺を苦しめてきた18人なのか19人なのかって疑問は簡単に決着する。
Okay, so, alright. This is making me think. So at the very beginning of this chapter, there was that little girl who I thought was either Maria or Jessica, who was going on about grandfather, and it looked like they were on the island, that island where Rokenjima, and that little girl was going on about grandfather will be upset that I broke his vase, and then there was that witch who called herself Beatrice, who said that she would train her how to become a witch as well, and like she basically would be her vassal. Is that little girl maybe because there's also this woman, obviously this woman that Kinzo loved, whose name was Beatrice, and there was the mention, Ronove said something about how she is a filthy human and also a witch. So I'm just like, is there something to do with that? Maybe this actual woman named Beatrice maybe did have a daughter? And no, that would make Kinzo the father. It would make Kinzo the father, not the grandfather. I want to know who that little girl is. That little girl was like seemed like a little baby Beatrice who turned into this endless witch with training. But then there's also this human Beatrice. I'm just like, I'm so confused about who is who, what's going on. I need to know.
バトラ様は魔女を否定するくせに、18人の中にも犯人を求められないダブルスタンダードの袋小路。
Yes, this is the problem Battler's having. He just doesn't want to believe that anybody he knows could possibly be a murderer. But he also refuses to believe in witches.
最も簡単な方法は18人の誰かを疑うことだ。
He's looking for the easy way out. It's like it's going to be this mystery 19th person I don't have any relation to or any relationship with, so I can blame it all on this person.
18人全員のアリバイはそう簡単には揃わない。常に一人くらいはアリバイの脆い人間が生まれる。俺はそいつを生贄にすることで常に魔女を否定し続けることもできるだろう。しかしそれは断固拒否する。ああ、ダメだぜ。全然ダメだ。18人はみんな俺にとって親たちや親戚たちやいとこたち、そして真面目だったり面白かったりする頼もしい使用人の人たちだ。俺はその人たちの誰を生贄にすることも許せない。かつて俺はその決意があやふやだった。だからその心の弱さをベアトに疲れたんだ。
自らの弱点を認め理解する、なかなかできることではありません。
There we go. So he's starting to kind of grow up a little bit. He's learning from his mistakes. Each thing is he's going to retain the memories of what happened in the last loop, the last game, and hopefully grow from it. And with each game, just get stronger and stronger until he wins.
バトラ様は19人目が存在する説を槍にする。槍というよりは盾でしょうかな。
But then he's still refusing to admit that one of the people he knows could possibly be the killer. So he's still kind of weak there.
いずれにせよ、これまでのゲームでの無策と違い、戦い方に指針を持たれるのは劇的飛躍と申せましょう。これでバトラ様は敬愛する18人を疑わずに存分に19人目を疑い、人間犯人説を追求できるわけでございます。
そういうことさ。最初のゲームのカノン君が殺されたボイラー室とか、他にも。
Oh my gosh, I just realized we haven't seen Kennen at all so far. We've seen Shannon, but we haven't seen Kennen at all. What's going on with that? Pretty sure everybody's shown up except for Kennen.
19人目が存在していたなら
We're even being introduced to
迷
new
う必要なん
characters.
かないトリックはいくつもある。
But no Kennen yet. In the very first game, Kennen-kun had been killed in the boiler room. One might think he was attacked by Kumasawa-san, who had gone down in the boiler room with him. Or maybe that someone who had appeared to be dead earlier was actually faking, and had ambushed Ken and Kun in the boiler room. Either way, it was a move that forced me to suspect one of the 18. However, by simply proposing that a 19th person exists, there's no longer any need to suspect one of the 18 for that murder in the boiler room.
つまり18人の誰にも無理だからイコール犯人は魔女という図式だけは否定することができるわけさ。
Using this argument, we can take, for example, the question which had been raised once again in this game: who gave Maria the letter? And come up with an easy explanation. Even if all 18 people have alibis, I can easily explain everything by saying a 19th person visited her and gave her the letter.
ふむふむ。とても良い一手だと思いますよ。私だったらどう切り返しましょうか。たとえバトラ様が理解されたとしても、未だに弱点は健在。18人攻めは有効な手でしょうね。バトラ様の守りがどの程度か確かめる意味でも、改めてそこをつくのも面白いかもしれません。
ならどう来る？悪魔の執事。
バトラ様が刺された19人目の駒を迎え撃つのが妥当でございましょう。バトラ様は19人目にお会いしておりませんね。19人目が存在する証拠を。
I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to fight back against. It's the whole thing. It's the devil's proof. Like, until you can prove that that 19th person exists, that's just a theory. He's just using that as like an excuse for it to explain everything away.
アメーゼ。もちろん、その指し手で来るだろうことは読んでいる。
それは受け手をお願いいたします。
魔女だの悪魔だの。お前らにこれほどふさわしい一手はないぜ。それがこいつ。悪魔の証明さ。
Yeah, devil's proof. When we humans are accused of something, we always counterattack by saying to show some evidence, because that's a human move. But I'm fighting with a witch. I'm taking part in a battle with someone who isn't human. And some moves exist which can only be used in a game against a witch. There are cheat moves, and that's what this devil's proof is. Therefore, evidence is unnecessary. Let's take this assumption that there's a hidden mansion on Rokenjima separate from the Ushiramiya family mansion, and that a woman named Beatrice is living there. In order to prove this, one must find this mansion and actually bring Beatrice out of it. That's called actual proof in the human world. However, if we follow the rules of the devil's proof, you can't disprove that she exists, even if there's no evidence. Oh, I got the devil's proof. Yeah, I got it mixed up. I was saying about how he has to have proof, but I'm like, no, it's the opposite. Until evidence is brought forward, you can't prove or disprove. Because it's impossible to prove something doesn't exist. That's right, this devil's proof, which tormented me so much before, I finally managed to use it to my own advantage. Those guys were always trying to force me to accept the existence of the witch by using the devil's proof. That was because, in response to BEATO's professions that witches do exist, I physically couldn't offer any proof that witches don't exist. That's why I've been subjected to this nonsense that witches exist, and why I've been unable to counterattack. And that's why I'll flip the chessboard right now. If I can't disprove that witches exist, then that means if I suggest a 19th person or a 19th human exists, you can't disprove that either. In other words, the enigmatic mistress in question is craftily hiding herself, so it's perfectly natural you can never find her no matter how hard you look. So you can't say that the 19th person can't be found equals the 19th person doesn't exist. Therefore, it's impossible to disprove a 19th person. BEATO used the devil's proof to make denying her existence impossible, but this time it's become my weapon. So there he goes, just like with the Red Truth, he's using these little things, these little tricks, and he's flipping it, he's using it for himself. So maybe each chapter he'll get a nice little rule that he can use, and then slowly get to the truth. If we can get away with this argument, then never mind a 19th person. This island could be full of people we don't know about. And even if there are 10 or 100 of them hiding, she still can't disprove that they exist. In the last game and the one before that, among the murder scenes that showed up, there were several that were extremely intricate and must have taken a lot of effort to set up. It's very difficult to imagine a single culprit could have set them all up. However, if not just a 19th person, but 10 or 100 people were hidden somewhere, that wouldn't be a problem at all. If they all split up the work, they could handle any job in a short period of time. Maybe all of these other servants that are talked about but never shown, maybe they exist. Who knows? Who knows with this game? Anything is possible. Of course, doubts would naturally arise at whether a large group of people like that could sneak around the mansion without being noticed. But those are all settled by the devil's proof. Because not seeing or not noticing 100 people inside the mansion does not disprove that they were there. Even though I'm saying it myself, it's such a stupid argument that it makes me want to throw up. However, it's because it's such a dirty as hell move that makes it the perfect one to use against a witch. He'd be a good lawyer. I know I compare him to Phoenix Wright a lot, but it's just like, just throw out a lot of arguments until something sticks. He'd be such a good lawyer. Well, we're only imagining here, but the thought of about 100 suspicious men wearing goat masks hiding in the shadows, that goes beyond funny. It makes me think of cockroaches. If you see one, it means there's 100 hiding in the shadows.
まあ、へりくつまみれの暴論だとは思うぜ。相手が人間だったなら、寝言を言うなと怒鳴られるところだろうよ。だが、俺の相手は魔女だ。そして、俺たちがやってるのはそういう勝負なんだろう。どんな暴論であろうとも、人間で説明をつけ、魔女を否定する。とにかく、この一手で俺は、二度と親しい18人のみんなを疑わなくて済む。
Boy, is he gonna feel real dumb if it ends up being one of the 18, though, and he's just using this as a crutch.
俺は二度と前回の失敗は繰り返さない。
なるほど。前回の失敗を学ばれているのですね。良いことですよ。さすがに3度もゲームを重ねると容量が良くなるものです。まずは自陣の守りを固める。実に堅実な処方です。なかなかの妙手と思いますよ。
まあ、19人目の人物を仮定したとしても、マスターキーの本数などのように何人人間を増やしてもクリアできないトリックも残ってる。
And here we go back to the concrete things like the keys and the locked rooms.
しかし、とりあえずの初手としては悪くないはずだ。
バトラ様の切り札、19人目の人物という大駒。証拠はあるのかとの私の一手に、バトラ様は悪魔の証明で反撃。良い攻防です。お嬢様のおられないところで勝手に手を進めてしまうのは申し訳ないのですが。
Beatrice has been oddly quiet lately. She's probably watching this and she's just seeing what Battler's coming up with. But I'm surprised she hasn't jumped in and starts laughing at me like, you're an idiot. That's all wrong.
私も少し面白くなってきてしまったところです。お嬢様に代わり、さらに
Oh, okay, he's making a move on her behalf. So, alright, so he is our opponent, basically. Or who knows?
来いよ。
They're all so sneaky, who knows?
魔女だろうと悪魔だろうと、相手に不足はねえ。
バトラ様の刺された一手、悪魔の証明。これは私ども悪魔のお箱でございますが。
Okay, here's the other moves. Other moves that Battler is going to learn about and learn to use himself.
ヘンペルのカラスという一手はご存知ですかな？
ヘンペルのカラス？何の話だ？
All right. Here she is. I was waiting for her to show up. Just then, oh, that laugh, which gets on my nerves every time I hear it, started echoing around. The room was filled with dazzling golden butterflies, and in the center of that whirlwind, the golden witch appeared.
これはお嬢様。おはようございます。
わらわのいないところで何やら面白そうなことをしていると思えば、ヘンペルのカラスか。なんとも笑える懐かしい一手よ。 よもやバトラに披露する日が来ようとはな。それは悪魔の証明に並ぶ古典的一手だ。ロノウェイ、それはわらわが指す一手ぞ。わらわの楽しみを減らしてくれるな。
出やがったな、ゲラゲラ魔女め。相変わらず下品に笑いやがって。こいつもお前のこと笑い方に品がねえって陰口言ってたぜ。
Oh, butler, you little snitch. You know the saying, snitches get torn apart by demon girls and then resurrected to get torn apart again.
なあ、
それは心外な。本当か？
そうもない。心より尊敬申し上げているお嬢様に、この私めがどうしてそのような陰口を申せましょうか。
よくもシャーシャーと言えるもんだな。お前とは仲良くなれそうにないぜ。
まあよい。話を戻そう。ヘンペルのカラスは実証を待遇的に行ってみせる。つまりこういう手だ。カラスが黒いことを証明するにはどうすればいい？
あ？何の話だ？カラスが黒いことを証明って、カラスを捕まえてきて色が黒いことを確認すりゃいいだけの話だろ。
その通り。カラスイコール黒いを証明すればよい。ということは黒くない鳥イコールカラスではないを証明しても同じ論法になるのがわかるかな。世界中のカラスでない鳥をすべて調べ、それらが黒くないことを証明すれば、それは結果的に故に黒い鳥はカラスであると、これを待遇論法という。そなたには難しいか？
ああ、まったく何言ってやがるのかさっぱりだ。
バトラ様、こういう例え話はいかがでしょう。二つの箱があり、片方は当たりで
There he goes with his cookie talk. He loves his cookies, doesn't he? I definitely am with them on that. Cookies are awesome.
もちろん、もう片方は外れで空っぽです。
For example, let us say we have two boxes here. One being the winner with a cookie inside, and the other being the loser, which is empty. Now it holds that if there's a cookie inside, it is the winner. And at the same time, it also holds that if it is not the winner, there is no cookie inside. I just want Ronave, I want him to use all the future, little things that they have, and I just want him to use cookies for every single example. I love that. When such a relationship exists, we call the latter the contrapositive. When if A, then B is true, then at the same time, if not B, then not A is also true.
そりゃ当然だろうよ。もし選んだ方が外れだったなら、もう片方は自動的に当たりってことになる。つまり箱を適当に選び、当たりを引こうと外れを引こうと、最初の一手でどっちの箱にクッキーが入っているか特定できるわけだ。
その通り。開けた箱にクッキーが入っていたなら悪魔の証明を満たす。この箱は当たりイコールこの箱にはクッキーが入っている。しかし開けた箱が空っぽだったなら、この時は逆にヘンペルのカラスを満たす。この箱にクッキーが入っていないイコールこの箱は当たりではない。そしてそれは箱が2つしかないことを前提としている限り、もう片方の箱が自動的に当たりであることを待遇的に示している。
ま、なんとなく理屈は分かったぜ。毒を制するには毒、へりくつにはへりくつってわけだ。それで俺の島には19人目の人間が隠れているに違いないから、18人全員にアリバイがあってもそれは魔女を認めることにはならないを。
よかろう。わらわの手は教えよう。 まずそなたは18人の中に犯人はいないイコールならば犯人は19人目としているならば待遇としてこうなるわけだ。つまり犯人は19人目ではないイコールならば18人の中に犯人がいる。
Yeah, so if he refuses to accept that there's a witch, and it's either this 19th person or it's one of the 18, or he has to accept witches, and in that case, he loses.
はあ？なんだと？それはどういう意味だ？
そなたの指し手を逆手に取っただけだがな。そう難しい話ではあるまいに。ロノウェ、説明せよ。そなたのさっきのクッキーの箱の例えはバトラに分かりやすいらしい。
Butler and I are the same. We're like, we need cookie, we need like elementary school comparisons and explanations to understand it.
それでは僭越ながら先ほどの例え話でもう一度
It's like, please let me
ご説明
talk
さ
about
せていただ
cookies
き
more.
ます
Allow me to repeat once more my earlier story about two treasure chests, one of which has a cookie in it. Oh, now it's a treasure chest, not a box. In this situation, one of the boxes represents the 18 people, and the other box represents the 19th person. So the cookie would represent the culprit. Butler-sama, you open the 18 box. Because the cookie is not there, you have proven from the opposite direction that therefore the cookie is in the 19 box. In that case, if we reverse things further, we can also say the following. Namely, if it was first shown that the 19 box was empty, it would prove in just the same way that the cookie is in the 18 box. Butler-sama, this move you played in order to avoid having to doubt any of the 18 has in fact been used against you to launch the 18-person attack.
なんだと？
わらわが19人目の箱の中身が空っぽであることを先に証明すれば、そなたは自動的に18人の箱の中にクッキーがあることを認めなければならないということになる。そなたはそれを逆の言い方で口にしたに過ぎんのだぞ。
つまり俺の自信満々の一手は同時に諸刃の剣でもあるってわけか。
その通りよ。そなたの19人目で全てを説明する一手は、それが破られた時、18人でしか説明できないことを認めざるを得ないリスクを背負っている。
I see. Hempel's Raven. So this is a countering technique. Wait, if I really think about it, this countering technique is far more disadvantageous for me than for her. The problem is in thinking about it like a cookie. If I imagine that just one of the treasure chests is a losing chest with a bomb in it, I can begin to understand it quite well. And if I think of it not as two treasure chests, but as 18, one for each person, plus one more for the 19th person, for a total of 19 boxes, it gets even easier to understand. First of all, one of the premises established by the human culprit theory was that the bomb would definitely be in one of those boxes. Yeah, because there's no witch, right? So it has to be a human culprit. Because I hadn't want to place that bomb in any of the 18's boxes, I'd used the devil's proof, and created the 19th box so that I could throw the bomb in there. That much was alright. But BEATO had struck back like this. If then the 19th box was empty inside, that would automatically mean that the bomb was set in one of the other 18 boxes. If I could examine the contents of each of the 18's boxes, and show the bomb was not in any of those boxes, I'd be able to safely show that the 18 people were innocent. If that were possible, I would be feeling confident. However, in reality, that's as close as you can get to impossible. The police wouldn't come here in this typhoon. There'd be no scientific investigations, no autopsies, no nothing. In short, I can't show anything decisively. It's impossible for me to find any proof other than simply gulping down whatever alibis each of the 18 give. In that case, I have to confirm their innocence both personally and perfectly. Like staying with someone the whole time, never letting them out of my sight for a second, and then only then you'd be able to confirm one person. If I do that, or maybe like a couple of people at most if they were always in a group. If I could do that, I could probably be sure of the person's innocence. And then the bomb is not in the box. However, in reality, something like that is impossible. In other words, I have to expend an incredible effort just to check the contents of one box. and there are 18 of them. In other words, unless I bind all 18 of them in chains and watch over them, it's impossible to prove all of them have empty boxes. However, BEATO only has to open one box, the 19th box, and show it's empty to prove the bomb is in one of the other 18 boxes. Furthermore, there's no need for her to show which of the 18 boxes has the bomb. I have 18 times more work to do to explain my pet theory than BEATO does for hers. And let's be honest, even if she did have some sort of irrefutable proof that the 19th person, if they exist, is not behind it, do you think Butler would just accept it at face value? He'd argue back because he talks about how he's overcome his weaknesses, or he's understanding his weaknesses, but he's still so steadfast in not wanting to believe that anyone he knows could do it.
反論に膨大な手間がかかり、事実上不可能であるケースが少なくない。しかし、ヘンペルのカラスはその問題を逆手に取り、容易に実証することを可能とする。
ヘンペルのカラスを使えば、さまざまな暴論が実証可能なのです。例えば、私以外の人間イコール愚かであるという命題があったとします。これを証明するには本来、私を除く全人類を調べ、愚かであることを証明しなければなりません。しかし、何十億人も調べるなど、現実には不可能でしょう。バトラ様の18箱を開ける手間と全く同じです。
しかしヘンペルのカラスならば、その命題は待遇的にこう変換される。つまり、私以外の人間イコール愚かであるをそなた風に言うならば、チェス盤をひっくり返し、愚かではないイコール私として証明してもよいということだ。つまりどういうことだと思う？わらわが聡明であるという事実を知るだけで、全人類は愚かであることの何十億人分もの証明が直ちに終了してしまうわけだ。
I wonder if we're gonna get, if it's all gonna be talking about this Hempel's Raven and Devil's Proof in this episode, or if we're gonna get some red truths. It feels like we haven't seen the red truth in a little while. I want that to come back.
全人類がわらわよりも愚かであることをわずか1秒もかけずに証明終了できる。世界最強最速の QED。 これぞヘンペルのカラス。
なんつう暴論だよ。
これはとてもとても便利な一手ですよ。悪魔どころか神々も好む一手です。幸福であるイコール神のしもべを命題とするとき、待遇は神のしもべでない人間イコール幸福であってはいけないとなります。つまり神のしもべがその加護によって幸福であることを実証するためには、その加護を受けぬ人々が不幸であることを実証すればいいわけです。そして彼らは自らの神を信じない人々を不幸に突き落とすことで自らの幸福を実証する。
人に幸福を与えるには莫大なコストがかかる。しかし人を不幸にするのに必要なコストははるかに安上がりだ。つまりヘンペルのカラスを使えば、神々は実に低コストで信者に加護の喜びを与えられるわけよ。
悪魔だ。悪魔の理論だ。めちゃくちゃだ。
話がそれてしまったようだな。そろそろ話を戻そうぞ。わらわの反撃の一手は以上だ。そなたの19人目が犯人だから18人は無実で魔女も存在しないへのならば、19人目が犯人でないことを証明できたら、18人か魔女のどちらかが犯人ということで確定するぞとの確認だ。
She just got him in a corner, man. Poor Battler. As soon as he starts to feel a little bit confident, she just breaks him. For a while, I just stood there, shocked, completely forgetting to close my mouth. Just when I thought I'd got my own back on them by using their favorite move against them, the counterattack to that had been this reckless argument that I could not even have begun to imagine. Was it really impossible? To continue denying the witch on an island with no more than 18 people, and yet still believe in the innocence of those 18 people? Was that just a delusion? He's just like right back to square one. Was I just trying to escape reality? Not yet. Don't give up this struggle yet. Who cares about whoever's Raven? They're just trying to speak in riddles by bringing up some weird bits of trivia. I'd use the devil's proof. Don't feel doubt in something once you've used it. Believe in the spear you've lunged forward with. Apply even more force and gouge it in. Like stakes.
まだまだ序盤だぞ。この程度で長考するつもりか？
Come on, Battler. Counterattack.
いや待て、確認するぞ。確かに俺は分かりやすく19
Oh,
人目という言
would
い
he
方
be
をした
able
が
to use a red truth right now to say that a 19th person exists on the island? Come on, Battler, come on.
悪魔の証明によって18人以上人間を増やせるなら、
It's like he forgot all about the red truth from the last game.
それは10人いるか100人いるかもわからない。不特定多数ということだ。
Just say like, are there more than 18 humans on the island or something like that?
お前が想定する人数より常に1人多い。わかるか？
She had returned my twisted logic with something even more twisted. So the only thing that could counter that would be even crazier twisted logic.
なるほど。わらわが19人目のアリバイを何らかの方法で
just make
証
more and
明
more
したと
people.
しても、その瞬間にそなたは20人目を生み出し犯人だと主張する。これを無限に繰り返すことによって、わらわは永遠に彼らのアリバイの証明が終えられないというわけか。なるほどなるほど。さながらイナゴの大群を呼び出す魔王よな。さすがは金蔵の孫よ。召喚術の才能には恵まれていると見える。
There's that thing about summoning again.
つまり18人以外の存在 X は常にアリバイを証明することが不可能なんだ。どうだベアト、ヘリクス合戦だと分かれば俺も負けねえぜ。
It's basically like, who's the better bullshitter?
愚かしいぞ。わらわを誰と心得る。わらわこそは無限の魔女。そのわらわに無限にて挑むとは肩払いたいわ。無限を操ることはつまり無限を殺すこともできるということ。わらわが19人目を切れば、そなたは20人目を呼び、20人目を切れば21人目を呼び、21人目を切れば22人目を切れば、23人目を呼び34人目を呼び、6計4358兆2235億7967万3204人目を呼び、
Jeez.
わらわを永遠に翻弄で生きるとでも？無限交代とは笑わせる。わらわに無限は通じぬわ。
ほう。ならばどうやってこの俺の無限を殺すんだよ。
That's like,
見せてみろよ。
he's like, well, you might be the endless witch, but I have endless stubbornness.
わらわには
Ah,
真
yes,
実
there
を
we
赤
go.
で語る力があろう。
Yes, Beatrice is just gotta say, like, just ask me. Just ask me. That's all you have to do, and I will be able to tell you. We'll end this.
来やがったな。
わらわが赤で語るとき、そこには一切の幻想がない。
It's almost like Battler has been afraid to ask. It's like he hasn't forgotten about the red. It's almost like he's afraid to ask because he's gonna have it confirmed whether there's more humans on the island, and that's just gonna shoot down his whole theory.
わらわがこの島には100人しかいないと一言赤で語る。
Wait, there's more than no more than 100 people.
そなたにはもはや101人目を生み出すことは叶わぬのだ。
But is she saying that there's 99 people or 100 people? Or is she just gonna say there's no more than 18 people?
ほらバトラー、今度はどんな真実を赤で語ってみせようか。どんな拠り所を叩き切ってそなたを絶望に突き落としてやろうか。そら、いつもの怯えた顔を見せてみるがいい。何？
Oh, what do you got, Butler? What do you got?
そなた、笑うか。
I wonder what kind of creepy look I had on my face as I laughed right then. That red sure is scary. Every time it jumps out, I'm driven into the depths of hopelessness. But I had already realized it. There was no need to be unnecessarily afraid of the red.
また抜きやがったな。で、それで今度はベアトリーチェ様は何をどう赤で語ってくださるってんだ？
ほう、それはどういう意味か。急に余裕を見せよって。
悪いが、その真っ赤な砲塔は俺も抜いてくれるのを待ってたん
Okay,
だ。
so he hasn't been avoiding it.
さて、お前は今度は何を赤で宣言してくれるんだ？
Or not so much he's not been avoiding it, he's just been expecting it to happen. But he doesn't seem too afraid, although he said in his thoughts, he's like, oh, that thing sure is scary, so maybe he's just putting up a front.
犯人は18人の中にいるとでも言ってくれるのか？言っとくが、そいつは自爆だぜ。その時点でお前は魔女説を自ら捨てたも同然。まさに棟梁だ。
Okay. That's right. The red isn't always necessarily to Beato's advantage. On the contrary, if she used it the wrong way, it's dangerous enough she could bring about her own death. If she used it carelessly and said something which ended up denying herself, that would be exactly the same as self-destructing.
確かに俺にとっても18人の中に犯人がいると赤で言われることは受け入れ、たとえ誰が犯人であっても俺はきっと辛い気持ちになるだろうぜ。だがそれはそれ以前にお前の敗北も意味する。人間が犯人だとお前が赤で語ることはお前の棟梁宣言にも等しい。お前が俺と差し違えても相打ちにしたいってんならそれも面白い一手だろうぜ。だがこの勝負は俺の勝ちで終わる。
Beatrice's red was truly her secret weapon, her treasured blade. The things she spoke in red would become solidified as the truth, and no amount of evidence or counter-arguments could change them. They had cut me down to size many times now, rending in two any supports my heart had to lean on. However, she used it carelessly, and I could also find a little information about the truth. In the last game, especially during the chapel's locked room trick, I had taken advantage of that, and had once closed her in almost completely. But she was also pretty sly. She had learned from experience, and since then had started using discretion in the timing of the red. This feeling of tension was almost literally like a battle with real swords. This was a battle of high intelligence. No, not of intelligence. It really was twisted logic. This was the world's craziest and worst battle of twisted logic.
さあ、今度はお前の出番だぜ。そうさ、お前のヘンペルのカラスを使うには、まず18人以外に何人の人間がいるのかを赤で確定させる必要がある。
This is what I've been waiting for.
その上で、それらの人間についてさらに赤で犯人でないことを宣言したならば、なるほど、こいつは俺にとって致命傷になるだろうぜ。
あれほど怯えていた赤をもはやみじんも怯えぬとはな。たくましいやつよ。
抜いてみろよ、殿下の宝刀。バッサリ決まって今度こそ俺を屈服できるかもしれねえぜ。
Now maybe she's been kind of hiding it. She hasn't been saying it outright too, because like you said, it might be damaging. The truth might be damaging to her as well. She looks a little put off, so maybe Badler's onto something.
こうでなくてはな。
Agitate her, provoke her, drive her into a corner to make her speak in red. Of course, her red has always cut right through my only threads of hope. But don't be afraid of that. On this island, overcome with falsehoods and illusions, the only thing I can trust is the information that she speaks in red. It's my only way across this chasm of hell. Just a single tightrope. Her merciless blood-red blade is the only way I can survive. This isn't just walking on a tightrope. It's literally like walking on the edge of a blade. Of course I'm afraid. In terms of her contrapositive, my victory condition, the denial of the witch meant that the culprit was human. But I didn't want to search for the culprit among the 18. Therefore, I held on to a weak point since I had to deny the witch and the 18 at the same time. Since I had been unable to understand that last time, that was where she had hit me, leaving me tattered and defeated. But that's alright. Let her hit me. Let her attack. No problem. Someone said it once in an old sword-fighting movie, that a good fortress has one, and only one, intentionally weak point. The enemy would gather there. They would be lured there. And that would be where the actual battle took place. As long as I understood my weak points, and as long as she wants to attack those weak points, it's as if I've induced her to attack there. Carefully judge the distance from your enemy, and retreat step by step. Make them draw their sword first. There. The more she recklessly flourishes that red, the more chances I'll have to strike back. Don't be afraid of the red. Keep the pressure on so that she's forced to refute with the red. No matter how oppressively she speaks in red, yes, that red itself is the same as fresh blood spurting from her wounds.
さあ、どうしたよ。まずはこの島に合計で何人いるのか。赤で語ってもらおうじゃねえか。さもないと、お前のカラスは俺に切り込めないぜ。
やぶれかぶれがこうもやりにくいとは。捨て身というやつはいつの時代も侮れんな。やはり金蔵の孫か。
It seems like she's stalling. If this was information that was beneficial to her, I feel like she would have spouted it right out.
追い詰められれば追い詰められるほどに不敵。
Ronave cleared his throat.
膠着しましたね。せっかくの紅茶も冷めてしまいますよ。お嬢。
Ronave, who was supposed to be her ally, roguishly rushed her next move. Okay, he seems to be dancing a little bit in between us. He doesn't really have any alliances. Beato smiled back, probably intending to demonstrate she was still relaxed, but she couldn't hide the sweat building up on her forehead. By now, she'd completely lost that relaxedness which had allowed her to turn her nose up at her worthless opponent. Of course, she probably wasn't really cornered by something like this. She was just being cautious. Until now, I'd been inexperienced. I didn't have a good grasp on how to fight, and I was underpowered as an opponent. However, now that we had reached the third game, she realized I was starting to become skilled, and she had grown more cautious, thinking every move over carefully. Sure, that's just fine, Beatrice. And sorry to have kept you waiting. Are you happy now?
面白くなってきたぜ。
バトラー。
拉致が開かねえな。なら、ズバッと気持ちよく、いつものやつで行こうじゃねえか。
ほう、いつものやつとな。ならば頼もうではないか。あれを聞かぬと、やはり始まった気がせぬわ。
The first move was mine.
行くぜ、ベアト。副賞要求。
Yes. Oh man, I always get hyped up for this.
この島には18人しかいない。
He finally did it. He finally is asking her this question and getting her to confirm. I mean, come on, she had to have known he was eventually gonna ask her.
こいつを赤で言われちまったら、俺は18人の誰かを疑わざるを得ない。19人目の仕業にはもうできず、八方塞がりさ。だが、俺は18人の中に犯人が絶対にいないと信じてる。あんな残酷な殺人を18人の誰にも起こせるものか。 繰り返すぞ。副将要求。この島には18人しかいない。
But is she just playing him? Is she just pretending to, you know, hesitate to say it? No.
拒否する。理由は明かさない。
That's such a cop-out, though, that she can just decline to say it in red. Whew. I have avoided what would have been the worst red for me. But it's the whole thing, right? It's devil's proof. She didn't confirm, but she didn't deny it either. If she had repeated that, I would have been faced with those two worst choices of accepting the witch or suspecting one of the 18. Like the last time, all over again. But BEATO had not proclaimed my ultimate and greatest weakness in red. She had declined to repeat it, even though there was no reason why she shouldn't have struck, even though it was a weakness she should have been drilling at. But that's the thing. They mention about how she doesn't go for the easy moves all the time. She likes to stretch out the game. She likes to give the person she's playing with, make them think that they're winning before she strikes back. This could very well be that, so I can't say for sure that it's not one of the 18 people yet. She hadn't sliced me up with red by using that move, which should have been as good as forking a rook and the king. This was a big sign of my advantage. Oh, you sweet summer child. I don't know if it is, though. That's right. The culprit isn't one of the 18 people. We're way too early in this game for me to believe that we can conclusively rule out one of the 18 people. I won't doubt anyone. And if it is one of the 18 people, I wonder if whoever does the murders changes with each game. Or if it's always set in stone with who's the murderer. Because the thing is, the orders and the people who die change, and the way they die and the places they die, so it leads me to believe that if it is one of the 18, or multiple of the 18, it's different people each game. And since the culprit isn't a witch either, it means that a 19th person exists on this island. And that's you. A person who, as grandfather's mistress of 30 years, has been living secretly in a hidden mansion in the forest for a long, long time. The human Beatrice. We'll see. I think that there is a human Beatrice. There was the mention about, Ronave said about how Beatrice is a filthy human. And there obviously was a human Beatrice that Kinzo loved.
お前は魔女なんかじゃない。この島に何十年も隠れ住んできた。ただの人間なんだ。
1000年を経た無限の魔女のわらわをただの人間呼ばわりしたか。
But Ronave called her that and she didn't say anything. For a while, Beatrice continued to laugh unpleasantly, gloating, or maybe spiteful.
いいか、続けるぜ。続けて副将要求。この島には19人以上がいる。
Beatrice fell silent once again. The feeling that confirming the number of humans on this island might possibly stand to give her some large disadvantage was probably making her extremely cautious. The red had already become a foothold for my counterattack. With that in mind, the red had become a risk for the witch. But if she couldn't repeat this, her Hempel's raven wouldn't work. In order to break my devil's proof, first, the existence of a number of people outside the 18 needed to be confirmed in red. That's right, she couldn't break the existence of a 19th person unless she used red. I had closed BEATO in, giving her no choice but to speak in red. There really was a way to fight in this witch's game.
拒否してもいいんだぜ。お前が赤で言えないなら、この島の合計人数は18プラス X ってことになる。この X は初手で許すには相当でかい大駒だぜ。何しろ以後18人の誰にも不可能だったという根拠のトリックは全て18人以外の人間 X で説明可能になる。全員アリバイ系の密室を全て打ち破れる大駒だ。
It was just like a bishop in chess, which can cut a thin line through enemy forces as long as there's a slight gap. It only exerts an effect over squares of the same color, but it has a great ability to control the board. I don't know, it's like, is she actually stumped and cautious, or is she just playing him and making him think he won? It looked like Beato also well understood her current plight. She couldn't just let such an important piece go, especially this close to the beginning of the game. If she pulled out her red treasured sword, it wouldn't be that difficult to save that piece. But Beato was completely aware that I was expecting it. She was afraid that a careless red truth might end up strangling her own neck. Because, in the first place, a witch was something which should never be denied in red. Or which should be denied in red. Believe. Don't doubt. Witches don't exist. Something like that can't exist in this world. They can only exist in the cracks in reality. They're a fragile existence curled up in these cracks, frantically trying to protect themselves from the brutal winds of truth. And they can only barely exist like a mirage by surviving on falsehoods and fantasy. In other words, the red, which only witches can use, is the very reality by which they risk denying themselves. The more they brandish their red words, the more they begin to lose bit by bit that crack in reality inside which they can endure. That is why they don't want, through the red, to carelessly lose that crack in reality, which is based on fuzzy information, or in other words, fantasy, because they understand they'd be gradually cornering themselves. Of course, she would never admit it, because if she did, it would be the same as admitting that she is something that can't exist in this world, like an imaginary number. Don't be afraid, stay strong. She knows this deep down, better than anyone. That her red treasured sword can't easily be used without considerable resolve.
どうしたよ。繰り返すぜ。副将要計。この島には19人以上がいる。
拒否する。
At the end of a long, long time spent deliberating, letting a single deep breath escape, she quietly proclaimed her refusal. I thought she'd use it. But Beato refused to speak in red, even though it would cost her victory in the opening part of the game.
拒否したな。ということは今後、俺は18人以外の架空人物 X を何人でも使い放題ってことになるぜ。
好きにするがよい。わらわはそなたの復唱を拒否した。今はそれで十分であろう。拒否の理由は。いや。
Ooh, interesting. I wonder what that reason is.
いずれすぐにわかる。
Oh, I wanna know.
もったいぶりやがってよ。
あえて使わぬ赤もまた赤らしい使い方よ。そなたは赤き宝刀と呼んだな。愉快な例え。わらわも使おう。宝刀は抜かぬうちが花よ。むしろ抜かぬことによって醸せるeffedというものもある。
そうだな。俺はお前がいつ赤でひっくり返してくるか常に念頭に置いて戦わなければならない。こいつはえれえプレッシャーだ。それに副将を拒否される方が辛い場合もある。何しろ俺の読みが正しいから拒否できないのか、ミスリードにはまって泳がされてるのか。
Exactly. And he's aware of that too. I'm glad he's aware of it.
そういう意味ではなるほど。抜かずの宝刀ってわけだ。
なあ、同じ突き落とすなら少しでも高いところに行かせてからに限る。まだ始まったばかり。まだまだ。この勝負は今は淡き勝利に今は酔え。今はね。
Yeah, he got overly cocky the first time with the red truth when he succeeded, and then that came back and bit him in the ass. So at least he's aware to be more cautious and not to assume that just because she declined to repeat, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's right or that he won. That bitter comment did in fact appear to have marked the end of the game's opening battle. Even so, I couldn't relax my guard at all. I was unable to relax my feeling of tension until I was greeted by the sound of Runaways' applause.
お見事です、バトラ様。まずは序盤はバトラ様有利の展開でスタートというところでしょうか。
さあな、この駒が 俺の手でもぎ取ったものなのか、取るよう誘導されたものかはまだわからねえな。どうせお前のことだ。俺が罠にはまり始めてるのを知ってて白々しく拍手をしてるんだろ。
まさか。序盤とはいえ、お嬢様より一本を奪った手腕を純粋に祝福いたしております。何しろお嬢様はすぐ増長するお方。たまにはこのような刺激も良い薬かと思いますよ。
お前んとこの執事、ほんと口悪いな。
であろう。たまにわらわでもカチンとくるぞ。
それは大変に失礼いたしました。さあさあ、お嬢様にバトラ様、紅茶のおかわりはいかがですかな。まだゲームは始まったばかりでございます。ゲームを彩るお茶とお菓子はどうかこの私めにお任せを。どうぞお気兼ねなくゲームをお進めになってください。
そうさせてもらう。先を進めるぜ。これからが本番だ。
よかろう。時計を進めようではないか。
There we go. Nice. Where are we gonna get a murder soon?
ロノウェ、紅茶を頼む。
かしこまりました。クッキーは？
He loves the cookies.
いらぬ。ベルゼブブにやれば喜ぼう。しばし沈黙せよ。
Sounds like she's talking about a dog. Like when I give my dog, it's, well, I have to say TREAT because she's sitting nearby. While listening to the sound of the demon butler pouring tea, the witch closed her eyes slightly and fell into silence. For some time she was deeply lost in thought, but eventually a roguish glint came into her eyes.
よかろう。わらわがどうして
Alright, yes,
初手にて
please.
赤で語るのを
I wasn't
拒否
expecting to
した
get an answer so quickly.
何？上等じゃねえかよ。お手並み拝見と行くぜ。
やはり見逃すには惜しい大駒よ。拙速かもしれぬが動かせてもらおう。赤は使わぬ。
Rosa?
今よりそれをわらわに代わって
What?
ローザが説明する。聞くがよい。
What? Is Rosa's here? Okay, this is interesting. Okay, I was like, is Rosa in that world, or are they talking about
もちろん私も同意よ。
this world?
ローザもそうでしょ。ローザ？
ごめんなさい。私も同じよ。同意するわ。
どうしたんや、ローザさん。あんたさっきからずいぶんおとなしいな。体調でも悪いんとちゃうか？
From the beginning, Rosa had never been one to willingly cut in on the siblings' fights. But even so, she seemed unmotivated, and had said almost nothing at all during the night's conference. The whole time she had been hanging her head and appeared to be thinking of something else.
あんたさっきからぼんやりしてるわよ。そんなので遺産が守れると思ってるの？あんたも一児の母なんだから、もっとしっかりなさいよ。
ごめんなさい。
朝がだいぶ早かったんじゃないかね。体調が悪いなら無理をしない方がいいだろう。
客室にベッドの用意がありますよ。お休みになってはいかがですか？ご案内しますよ。
いえ、大丈夫です。ありがとう。
どうしたんだ？何か心配事でもあるのか？
いえ、別に。
そう？さっきからずっと心ここにあらずという感じよ。そしてそれは今私たちがしている議題と何か関係があるんじゃないかしら。
At those words, everyone stared at Rosa together. As if in response, Rosa's shoulders quivered. Apparently, Kiria's guess hadn't been wrong. Nor did Rosa deny it.
いえ、
Whenever her eye does that little twitch thing, you're like, okay, she's hiding something. Or she's stressing. She swallowed whatever it was she had been about to say and went silent again. By now, even the older siblings were also beginning to realize that something about her demeanor was different from usual.
どうしたんだ？さっきからおかしいぞ。何か思うことでもあるのか？
わしら全員で団結しようって誓い合ったばかりやないか。 一人で悩むなんて水臭い話やで。話したってな。
ローザ、話しなさい。
And she's like, oh, now you all want to know what I have to say. Before, it's just like she's just their little punching bag. Pressed by the men one after the other, Rosa made up her mind and nervously began to open up. It was almost as though she was trying to confess to some modest prank which had inadvertently brought about a serious situation. Such was the atmosphere in the room.
いえ、ベアトリーチェっていうお父様の
She's gonna say, I
愛人
saw
って
her?
本当に
Oh.
生きてるのかしらって思って。
はあ、そりゃ生きてるに決まってるでしょう。こうして手紙を送ってくるぐらいだもの。
元気かどうかは別の問題だろうけどな。肖像画の美女も今じゃきっといいお年だろうぜ。
元気やと思うで。金のことで悪知恵働くやつは決まっていくつになっても元気や。案外悪巧みは最高の回春剤かもしらへんで。
生きてるはずないの。
え、今なんて？
Okay, okay. What's this?
ベアトリーチェは死んでるのよ。私が殺した。
What the fuck? Okay, that was unexpected.
なんだって。
どういうことよ、ローザ。
Oh.
でも、
Oh, I wonder if Kinzo knows this.
でも私があんなところに連れ出したから。
Okay, so she's obviously has met her.
やっぱり私が殺したのよ。あれは夢だと思い込もうとしたのよ。でもやっぱりあれは夢じゃなかったのよ。だからこれはベアトリーチェの俺からの手紙なのよ。
It was so sudden that everyone was lost for words. Rosa kept on talking, unable to stop, holding her head as her hair flew all about.
どうか落ち着いて、ローザさん。
わしには何がなんやらさっぱりや。もう死んどる？どういう意味なんや。
二つの意味があると思うわ。まず一つ目は言葉通りの意味。
I look at Kyrie being all like cool, calm, and collected while everyone else is freaking out.
そしてもう一つは私たちの想像が正しかったことを裏付けるもの。
ということはローザはベアトリーチェに会ったことがあるというのかね。
そんな話ローザの口からは一度も聞いたことがないわ。ローザ、いつよ。あなたは一体いつベアトリーチェに会ったのよ。
昔よ。ずっと昔よ。まだこの島に引っ越してきたばかりで私は幼かった。私は悪くないの。私が殺したわけじゃ。
落ち着け。誰もお前を責めちゃいねえぜ。まず水でも飲め。夏日さん、水差しを頼む。
あ、はい。どうぞ、ローザさん。どうか落ち着いて。
Okay, I gotta hear what happened here. Until Rosa was able to regain her calm amidst her ragged breathing, no one was able to speak a word. So that's the thing that Beatrice was like, all right, you're gonna want to hear this. Oh yeah, I was a human, but now I'm dead. All right, we're doing a flashback here, I'm guessing. This was that area where we first saw the other Beatrice. And then the little...
Beatrice.
Oh, okay.
先ほどから呼んでおる。聞こえなんだか。
Oh, are we gonna get to see human Beatrice? Okay.
そうであったか。すまぬ。
Oh, she sounds so different.
ぼんやり考え事をしていた。
But she's dressed the same.
許せ。
良い天気だな。なるほど。
陽気に心を
But Kinzo
奪わ
looks-
れるのもわかるというのに。
But Kinzo looks the same. How long ago was this? I guess he's just like always been an old looking dude.
紅茶はここで飲むか？
わらわは何者なのか。
What?
今紅茶を持ってくる。
I wonder, did he resurrect her? So Beatrice died, and then maybe because they talked about how Kinzo has like resurrection abilities or summoning abilities.
しばし待て。
I am so confused right now.
紅茶は良い。わらわの話に付き合え。
よかろう。
Kinzo had used the excuse of going to bring some black tea to try and interrupt the conversation for the time being, but his attempt had been very transparent. I sat in the garden chair and beckoned Kinzo to do the same. Okay, so we're getting human question mark Beatrice's point of view here. Kinzo sat down heavily, exaggerating his age. For a while we sat, appreciating the silence.
わらわは何者なのか。この問いに今日まで答えてくれた者はおらぬ。なぜか皆目をそらしはぐらかす。
It's just weird to hear her sound so, I don't know, just like so different from the like cackling like witch who like revels in her evilness, and here she just sounds so subdued.
そなたとは長い仲だ。わらわはそなたを無二の友であり、
Oh, that's
そし
not
て父ですらあると思っておる。
that's not a thing that you want to hear your mistress say.
だから
What?
どうか教えてほしい。
Wait, even as a okay, so she's saying I think of you as my best friend even as a father. So she's saying like you're my best friend and my actual father, or is saying like she's like I see you as like a father figure even if you're not actually my
そ
father.
なたは知っているはずだ。
I'm what?
わらわが何者であるかを。
なぜにそのようなことが気になるのか。そなたはベアトリーチェ、この屋敷の主ではないか。それ以上の何を知りたいというのか。
わからぬ。
なんだ、何が知りたいのか自分でもわからぬというのか。それは不可解な。若き日には出口なき思考の迷路にて遊びたくなることもある。そなたの悩みもそれであろう。
Henzo laughed as though it was a trivial matter. However, I couldn't help but feel that his behavior was nothing but another attempt to force me to stop my further questioning.
やはりそなたもそれを語ってはくれぬのか。
語ることなど何もない。そなたはベアトリーチェだ。それで十分ではないか。
いや違う。わらわが知りたいのは名前ではない。わらわが何者なのかだ。わらわは誰で、いつからここにいて、そしていつまでここで日々を過ごせばよいのか。
Okay, interesting. So yeah, it seems like she was summoned. So she was killed and then maybe Kinzo like summoned her here, and she did say that she felt like she was stuck on the island and you know, she had nobody to speak to and she was lonely and all that stuff. And she said about how people avert their eyes from her.
やはり紅茶を持ってこよう。せっかくの陽気がもったいないとは思わぬか。
これは何の話だ。
I'm the same battler. I don't quite get this.
どうやらお前の昔話のようだが。
そのようだな。まさかここまで遡るとは。
自分は誰なのかとえらく高尚な悩みをお持ちのようじゃねえか。
無理もないわ。当時のわらわは自分が何者なのか、何のために生きているのかを理解できなかった。
ま、誰でも思春期になると 自分の生きる意味とは何ぞやみたいな哲学的な悩みに一度はとらわれるものさ。お前にもそんな微笑ましい時期があっただけという話だろ。
わらわは生まれた時から
Oh,
その
okay.
そして屋敷の中だけで生きた。もちろん庭には出られたが、敷地はとても高い柵で囲まれており、
Wow, it took me too long to
それを出
realize
ることはできず、
that this is like the mansion that was built for her. So they were right about there being like an actual secret mansion on the island. A pretty big thing to hide.
また出てはならないと厳しく言われておった。わらわはな、屋敷と庭は自由に
So she said she's been there since she was born. So when she saw that other Beatrice when she was little at the beginning of the episode,
その外へは自らの意志
she's
で
like a little,
渡った
like a,
一歩
she's like a caged bird.
出る。
そりゃどういう意味だよ。物心ついた時からずっと
Oh my
カゴの一人
god!
だったって言いたいのか
Literally, he said bird in a cage after I said it.
そういうものだと思っていた。何しろ気づいた時からそういう生活だったからな。疑問にも思わなかった。
お前
Exactly. What are you?
いた。
それよ、それこそわらわもま
So
た
she's
望
the
んだ
endless
ものだ。
witch, but she doesn't know who she actually is.
どうせ人間ではなくて魔女でしたって言いやがるんだろ。
いや違う、まだ違う。いや、かつてそうだったと言うべきか。わらわは金像によって作られた。
Okay.
人間によって
A
作ら
human
れた
built
人
by a
間
human.
だ。いや、肉でできた檻とでも言うべきか。
なんだよそりゃ。
I guess that's why she said that she sees Kinzo as like a father if he literally created her.
妙な話を言い出しやがって。
どうせそなたは信じぬだろうがな。
That's like he did what he did with Kennen and with Shannon, right? And Goda, where it's like he created them as well.
まずは聞け。わらわは千年を経た偉大なる魔女であった。しかしある時、金像によって呼び出され、その秘術にて
Okay.
永遠の虜となるよう縛られたのだ。
そりゃ初耳だぜ。後ろ宮家で知られてる話では、お前はじい様に呼び出されて、
That's why Kinzo keeps saying like you're mine, not you belong to me. It's because he literally did entrap her.
悪魔の契約みたいなのを結んで黄金を授けたってことになってるぜ。
うん。それは正しい。そしてわらわは黄金を授け、契約。しかしまあモテる女の辛いとこよな。金蔵はこともあろうか、わらわに恋をした。
じい様も金眼が進んでたんだろうよ。
Damn Badler.
ついでに乱視だな。よりによってお前に惚れるとはよ。
Oh, whatever. Like Badler, you can say it all you want. She's hot, okay? Like you can try and deny it, but like she could be bitchy sometimes and stuff, but like she's not unattractive.
まあわらわにとっては迷惑この上ない話よ。しかし人間の力とは恐ろしいものでな。あれは恐ろしい力を発揮してわらわをこの地へ釘付けにしたのだ。わらわが首を縦に振らぬ限り解放せぬと言ってな。なんとも強引な男よ。
すげえじゃねえかよ。じい様がオカルトかぶれなのは誰もが知るところだが、大魔女ベアトリーチェ様を釘付けにするほどの力があったとはな。へっ、バカバカしい。そんなおかしな話信じると思うか。
やはり信じぬか。
俺が信じるのはお前が森の中の秘密屋敷に隠居していたって事実だけ
So
だ。
this is all well and good, but I want to know about Rosa killing her.
お前こそが六軒島の中級人目なんだろう。
Especially if Rosa, like, or if Beatrice was still a witch. That's the thing, is like, did she kill her as a witch or as a human? I don't know.
いかにも そなたの想像通り、ここは六軒島の森深く、外界からは見つけることもかなわぬ隠し屋敷。その名もクワドリア。
そういや、ゲストハウスの正しい名はトライアンだって聞いたな。なるほど。ネーミングセンスは近いな。そしてお前はそこに隠居していたじい様の愛人。そうだな。
愛人というのは正しくない。
She's more like a prisoner from what she says.
金蔵の片思いであったと言うべきだろう。先ほども話したであろう。あれが勝手にわらわに惚れた。そしてわらわに求愛したが、それをわらわは拒んだ。そしてわらわをこの隠し屋敷へ閉じ込めたのだ。いや、屋敷に閉じ込めたというのは正しくないか。この体に閉じ込めたというべきか。
最後が何を言ってるのかわかんねえぜ。
どうせそなたはバカにして聞かぬであろう。
So is he saying, okay, so she summoned as a witch first, and then did he summon like a human vessel to put Beatrice's like essence into
何しろ
and make her human?
魔女も魔法も信じぬという。語れど聞く耳を持たぬというならば、それを口にするは愚の骨頂だ。
I know he won't listen, but I will. I want a little bit of clarification here.
信じるかどうかは俺が判断するぜ。聞かなきゃ話も進まねえしな。話せよ、お前の昔話を。
金蔵はわらわに求愛を拒まれたが、それ式でへこたれる男ではない。どうあってもわらわの首を縦に振らせたかった。わらわをこの屋敷へ閉じ込め、わらわを口説き落とそうと
So
永
basically,
遠の時間を費やしたのだ。
he tried to like Stockholm syndrome her into a relationship.
強引なやつだな。しつこい男は嫌われるだろ。
求愛に応えるかどうかは別にして、男をそこまで必死にさせるのは、まあ女としてそう不愉快ではない。しかしわらわは決して首を縦には振らなかった。なんとかその戒めから逃れようとしたが、あれの結界は強固で破れなかった。
それで
And then didn't Shannon break? She broke the barriers. Except, I'm trying to think. So Beatrice was she was seen by the servants. I'm guessing because the servants would have to come visit her to give her things. And then Shannon broke the barrier and allowed her her true power, so she was able to break free of the magic that Kinzo was holding her.
さまざまな抵抗を試みた結果、金蔵の結界から逃れるには、
Okay.
肉の体を捨てるほかないという結論に至った。肉体というものは魔法を語る上でとても制約の多い器なのだ。
Oh shit! Did like Rosa? She said she brought her somewhere. Did she like fling herself off like a cliff or something so that her body died or something? What?
肉の体を捨てる？なんだよそれ。幽体離脱みたいなものか？
まあそんなものと考えればい
And
い。
she's like, I didn't kill her, but I shouldn't have brought her to that spot.
しかしわらわは精霊ではない。魔女ではあっても、もともとは肉の体で生まれ落ちた人間だ。そのわらわにとって肉体を捨てるということは死を意味するほどではないにしても、それに準ずる覚悟が必要だった。
それはつまり自殺することでしか解放されないと決意したって意味なのか？
自殺ではない。あくまでも肉の体を捨てるだけのことだ。もちろん魂だけになるのは心もとない。魂は肉の体を出れば太陽の強い風に絶えずさらされてしまう。それによって吹き散らされないように自らを維持するのはわらわとて容易なことではない。できることなら避けたい最後の手段だった。しかし金蔵の結界から逃れるにはそれしかなかったのだ。 何しろわらわは自由人。金蔵の精が果てるまでカゴにて飼われるのはごめんというもの。
I couldn't understand the story Beato kept going on about throwing away her body of flesh, as anything more than suicide. Grandfather persistently courted her, and to escape from that, she chose her own death?
それで自殺したってのか？何を言ってやがる。当のお前はそこでのんびりガーデンチェアに腰掛けてるじゃねえか。
そうだ、それこそが
Okay.
金蔵によって与えられた新たな檻だったのだ。
檻？この屋敷のことか？
違う。そこのガーデンチェアにてくつろぐわらわの体のことだ。金蔵は魂となって抜け出そうとしたわらわをそれでもなお逃すつもりはなかったのだ。いやいや恐ろしいやつ。普通は片思いの女が死んでみせれば100年の恋も冷めるであろうに。だからこそあれも魔術師の端くれなのか。
さっぱりわからねえ魔女っ子トークで煙に巻くな。つまり何だってんだ。
金蔵は魂となったわらわすらも逃さなかったということだ。人間の思いというやつは恐ろしい。これほどまでの魔力を発揮するとは。死者の魂をつなぎ止めるなど、それを専門に弓道する魔術師でもおいそれと至れぬ境地よ。わらわはそれを知るからこそ金蔵の恐るべき魔力にその時初めて驚愕した。そして金蔵はわらわの魂を捕まえ、だが魂を捕らえておく檻は鉄でも鉛でも作れない。
So when she's saying, what am I or who am I? Maybe she's saying, like, who is this body that you put me into?
ただ一つを除いて。
なんだよ。魔法の檻だとでも言い出すのかよ。
違う。わらわやそなたのようなこの肉の体だ。肉と血でできた檻だけが魂をこの世につなぎ止める。金蔵はわらわの魂をわらわと瓜二つに作り上げた肉の檻に再び閉じ込めたのだ。
要約するとこういうことか。じいさまがしつこく求愛するんで嫌になり自殺したが、うまく死にきれなかったってことだろう。
Oh wow, butler.
まりくどい言い方しやがってからに。
いいや違う。わらわはホムンクルスの種子に魂を閉じ込められ試験管の中より生まれ入れたのだ。
はあ？バカバカしい。そんなのあるわけねえだろ。
生命を生み出す奇跡すらも金蔵は成し遂げたのだ。わらわの魂を閉じ込める檻にするためだけにな。己の恋心だけでこれほどの魔力を見せるとはつくづく恐ろしいやつよ。
もうさすがにバカバカしくなってきたぜ。好きなだけ言ってろってんだ。俺は何も信じねえぜ。勝手にやってやがれってんだ。
なんだその不愉快な態度は。
最初は何か重大なヒントが隠されているだろうと多少の興味を示したが、聞けば聞くほどおかしな話になっていく。
I wonder if she's a little offended that she's showing this side of her, and he's just completely dismissing it. Like, this is like a, you know, a pretty vulnerable thing to show.
魔女を否定するゲームのはずなのに。
He's like, I don't want to know your life story, lady.
いつの間にか魔女話を鵜呑みにさせられていく気がするぜ。悪いがこれ以上耳を貸す気はねえな。勝手に好きなだけほざいてろよ。耳クソでもほじってるからよ。
Yeah, I think she's a little upset that he just dismissed her story. When I started showing a cold attitude, Beato acted unusually discouraged. Of course, her expression was still brazen, but I had the feeling I was able to catch a glimpse of loneliness because I hadn't found the story of her past interesting. In that really easy-to-understand expression of hers. For some reason, that slight reaction made her seem pitiful. So even though I kept my couldn't care less attitude, I decided to humor her slightly. What a gentleman. Damn it, even though she's an irritating witch, I'm still weak against her because her chromosomes are double X.
ま、信じる気は毛頭ねえけどよ。続けろよ。お茶菓子代わりに聞いてやるぜ。
わらわの身の上話が釈迦扱いとはな。
Renove just burst in the room. Did somebody say cookies?
そこまでこき下ろされてまでのこのこ語ると思うか？
After I made fun of her, Beato reacted a little sensitively. It looked like even though making fun of people was her specialty, she was horrible at being made fun of by other people. Just then, my cup of black tea suddenly made a sound, surprising me.
お嬢様の魂は捕らえられ、新しい生命の檻に吹き込まれました。それはつまり、お嬢様が再び人間として生を受けたということです。
Before I had realized it, the demon butler had appeared and taken my cup and was adding more black tea to it.
ロノエ、もうその話はよい。こやつはバカバカしくて危険というでな。わらわもバカバカしくて話す気にもならぬ。
新しいクッキーを今焼かせているところでございます。それまでお茶菓子代わりにお嬢様の昔話が
It like is, I was joking about how he'd appear when cookies were mentioned, but he kind of did.
もうわらわの話は良いというのに、揃って不愉快な奴らだ。わらわは席を外すぞ。ロノエ、給仕を済ませたらとっとと下がるのだぞ。バトラと無駄話などするでないぞ。
かしこまりました。努力いたします。
Beato's confusing female short temper took hold of her. She turned her body into gold butterflies, scattered and disappeared. After that, only Renove and the scent of the black tea were left.
なんだか、俺が怒らせたみたいで気分が悪いぜ。
ご自覚があられるようですので、これ以上申し上げることはございませんよ。
ちょっと待てよ。とどめを刺したのはお前だろうが。
はて、何のことやら。お砂糖とミルクはいかがですかな？
ミルクだけでいいぜ。あと、お茶菓子も欲しいな。
Yes, he finally wants the cookies.
クッキーが焼けるには、まだ時間がかかりますよ。
チャカの代わりがあるって言ったぜ。
かしこまりました。ご清聴をいただけるのでしたら、続きをお話しいたします。
ホムンクルスがなんとかって言ったな。一応は知ってるぜ。あれだろ？錬金術高で作り出せ人造人間のことだろ？
はい。お嬢様の魂はホムンクルスに閉じ込められ、再び赤子となって生を受け、この世に蘇ったのです。しかし赤子でございますから、金蔵様が愛を語ろうと、
Oh, that's so
それは
creepy.
無駄なことでござい
Oh,
ま
it's
す。
so creepy that Kinzo is kind of in love with a baby. I know not actually, but
まさかじい様はその赤ん坊をこの隠し屋敷に同じ年に成長するまで閉じ込めたってのか？
はい、そのまさかでございます。しかし魂は同じという
that's
と、
why she looks so young and
人
Kinzo
間の
was old.
魂はその器に強く影響を受けます。お嬢様はかつての記憶をすべて失われ、
Okay.
ごく普通の人間の少女として成長されました。
それが、そこのガーデンチェアに座ってるベアートだってのか？
So, that little girl who was worried about breaking the vase, does she consider Kinzo her grandfather? Because she's like, oh, grandfather will be angry when she was talking to that other Beatrice. And maybe, like, the little girl at the beginning, like, I know that that's young Beatrice, and the older one was kind of like her mentor, it seems like, but I'm a little confused about the timeline of that.
はい、その通りでございます。
I mean, this is the mansion it happened in, so...
まさに瓜二つに成長なされました。しかし魔女としての力は持ち合わせておりません。
I could be totally mistaken about all that. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. because you let me know that it was not Jessica or Maria, so I'm just like, well, this is the mansion little Beatrice grew up in, so I'm assuming that's her, and she was talking about the grandfather, and I have to assume that's Kinzo.
あくまでも人間としてのお嬢様なのです。
Unless that Beatrice, like this one, gave birth to a daughter, and then that one is considered... Then Kinzo would be the grandfather? I don't know. Beato, who was sitting in the garden chair looking up at the sky, asked that same question again. She asked who she was. The meaning of those words were finally starting to click. She couldn't understand why she was living here all locked up. Grandfather had seized Beatrice's soul, shut it up in a body of flesh, and then shut that up in a hidden mansion. However, since she had lived here since the time she was born, she couldn't even understand who she was, or why she lived shut up in there. Wait. Who would take such a stupid story seriously? Why don't I change my interpretation? Essentially, couldn't it be something like this? Grandfather met Beatrice. He then fell in love with her and courted her, but she didn't nod her head in agreement, and so he got angry and shut her up inside this hidden mansion. Beatrice tried to escape, but no matter what she did, she couldn't succeed, so she finally chose her own death. And then, maybe there was a girl who looked just like Beatrice. No, a baby. And Grandfather raised this child with care, but maybe Grandfather didn't view this child as his daughter. Shut my soul up once more into a cage of flesh. Those words probably meant that he didn't view this kid as her child, but as a reincarnation. Maybe that's what it meant. If you interpret it that way, even a story that weird might make a little sense. No. This might be some bullshit Beato cooked up to confuse me. As if I could accept any of this. Based on her reactions being pretty human, I would say that she was actually telling the truth. In the first place, Kuwadorian, was it? There's no proof whatsoever that a hidden mansion actually existed. Couldn't this be something she just fabricated on the spot? Okay. Oh, so he can do the red truth too. Interesting that it's not, just Beatrice who can do them.
それが今話をしていた場所です。
赤
Ronove used the red to say that Kuwadorian actually existed. Did that mean the same thing as the red Beato used?
これでも悪魔の端くれでございますので、お嬢様には内緒にしてくださいね。
Beato, who I knew I would try to trip her up, had grown extremely cautious when using red. To think that Ronove could also use that red. Of course, it's the red of a crafty man. I don't know how far I can accept it, but anyway, I might be able to get some hint out of it.
このクワドリアンの庭でくつろいでるベアトとさっきのじい様との会話は真実なのか？
はい、真実です。かつて実際にこの場所でお二人はこのような会話をなされました。
助かるぜ。さらに赤で頼む。あいつホムンクルスから生まれたなんて言いやがったが、そんな非科学的な魔法的存在実在するのか？
その問いかけにはお答えできません。理由はステイルメイトになるからでございます。
ステイルメイト？なんだそりゃ。
チェスの用語で千日手のパーペチュアルと同様にそれ以上のゲーム進行が不可能になる宣言です。これは千日手とは正反対で指し手がなくなるある種の手詰まりの状態を指します。パーペチュアルに同じでチェスではこれを引き分けにしております。ただしお嬢様とバトラ様のゲームでは引き分けがございません。ですのでステイルメイトになる質問には赤でお答えすることができないのです。
よくわからねえこと言って煙に巻いてるが、つまりホムンクルスなんて魔法的存在が実在するって赤で言えないからごまかしてるだけなんだろ？
仮に私が赤で魔女は実在すると言ったらバトラ様はどういたしますか？
それを信じるか信じないかで
I was
俺
gonna
たち
say,
は大喧嘩してるんじゃねえかよ。
to finish this game, wouldn't he just have to say in red that witches exist, and that would be that?
それを言われちまったら
Exactly.
身も蓋もないぜ。ゲームオーバーだ。
魔女は存在すると赤で申し上げたなら、
And that's not what
バト
Beatrice
ラ様
wants.
に
She
は
wants a
反論の
game.
余地がありません。しかしバトラ様はその理由が示されない以上、それを受け入れないでしょう。しかし赤で語られる以上、反論の余地もなく証拠も示されない。この場合、バトラ様は敗北を認められないにもかかわらず、反論の手がなく手詰まりとなってしまいます。チェックメイトされていないにもかかわらず、次なる指し手が存在しない。バトラ様が次の一手を打てない以上、お嬢様に手番が回ってくることはなく、ゲームはそこで永遠に止まってしまう。その結果、お嬢様があなたを屈服させることもできない。これが手詰まりの状態です。それを回避するため、このような形になるご質問には赤でお答えすることができないのです。
早い話が、身も蓋もない質問は禁止だと、そう言いたいわけだな。まあそりゃそうだよな。赤で魔女は実在するって言われちまったら、俺は花からお手上げだぜ。
ご理解いただけて助かります。他の形の質問でしたらご協力できるかと思いますよ。
奴がはぐらかした副賞要求には答えられるか。この島の人数だ。
お嬢様が保留されている副賞要求にももちろん答えられませんよ。お嬢様の家具でございますので、出過ぎた真似はできかねます。
Ronave made an exaggerated gesture, trying to act like a loyal retainer. This guy's so shameless.
一瞬でも使えるやつと思ったのによ。諦めて他の質問を探すか。そうだ、大事なことを確認するのを忘れてた。これはベアとの思い出話なんだろ。いつの話なんだ。まさか現在ってことはないだ
Yes,
ろ。
that's a good. I want to know the timeline for this.
はい、ここは1967年の世界。
Okay.
19年前の世界でございます。
And yeah, Kinzo looks exactly the same. Let's go through the story one more time. I wonder if it couldn't be something like this. Grandfather had a person with whom he fell in unrequited love called Beatrice, and he confined her in this hidden mansion and continually courted her, but she was stubborn and didn't say yes. Eventually, she grew pessimistic about being unable to escape from here, and probably committed suicide. And then, shoot, something about her soul being trapped in a homunculus. No, if I accept that, it's the same as accepting the witch. I can interpret that part like this. She probably left a daughter behind when she died. That talk about the soul being put in a new body probably meant that grandfather raised that child believing it to be the reincarnation of Beatrice. In that case, Beato must have existed on this island for at least the last 19 years. So that's going back to what I said about, like, if she had a child, that child would be calling him the grandfather, because assuming he had a child with her, or even if she didn't have a child with him, maybe, like, she would see him as the grandfather. But the thing is, if he wants her to be the reincarnation of his love, he wouldn't want this little girl to call him the grandfather, because that would just be freaking weird. But at the same time, that Beatrice said, "I see you as a father." It's got me caught up.
混乱してきたぜ。
Same, buddy.
いずれにせよ、憶測の域を出ない。確実に赤で言えることは、1967年の六軒島の隠し屋敷に、人間としてのベアトリーチェが存在した。それだけだ。
その通りでございます。1967年の六軒島の隠し屋敷に、人間としてのベアトリーチェ様が存在した。
ああ、サンキュー。助かるぜ。
おめでとうございます。これでバトラ様の19人目の駒は その存在がはっきりしました。
So that was 19 years ago, and she was quite young back then. So yeah, I was gonna say, it's like she's not necessarily an old lady like they say, but Rosa also said that she killed her. Whether that was the original Beatrice that quote unquote committed suicide, or if it was this one that is, you know, the 1967. Wait, yeah, that makes sense. 1967. Yeah, because Rosa wouldn't have been born, or would have been very, 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 very young if it had been the first Beatrice, because it would have taken 19 years for that Beatrice. The timelines are screwing me up. I'm assuming that, because, so Rosa, I think she's 35, so 19 years ago, she would have been pretty young. I'm guessing that's the one she saw was probably the one that we saw in that thing, the 1967 version of Beatrice.
バトラ様が熱望された18人以外に罪をなすりつけられる19人目の人
Well,
間。
actually, hold on, because Rosa said that she saw her a very, very, very long time ago. So, if she's 35... Yeah, that wouldn't work. She wouldn't even have even been born.
いかなる罪をもなすりつけることのできる。それがお嬢様とは実に愉快。
There's got to be more to it than this. Ronove laughed indiscreetly. Somehow I didn't like his phrasing, so I didn't feel like laughing along with him.
そうだ。ローザおばさんは言った。
Yes.
ベアトリーチェは死んだ。
Yes, let's get back to this, please.
私が殺した？どういう意味なんだ？
それは私の口から語るよりも、実際に顛末をご覧になった方が早いでしょう。少々時計を進めましょう。
Ronove pulled a stylish pocket watch from his pocket and made to wind the crown. As soon as he did, I saw gold butterflies gather behind Ronove's back and take the form of a person. Are we bringing Rosa here? Was it Beato? I quickly realized it was someone else. Oh, never mind. Wasn't expecting her. It was her. The oldest sister of the Seven Stakes who loved tormenting me more than anything else. If I don't think myself lucky to see that sexy ass, I won't be able to play along with their torture game.
ロノウェ様、まだこちらにおられましたか。ベアトリーチェ様が至急お呼びです。
はて、至急のどのようなご用やら。少々バトラ様とのおしゃべりが過ぎたようですね。それではバトラ様、私めはこれどうか引き続きお嬢様とのゲームをお楽しみください。
へいへい、せいぜい楽しむぜ。あんたはベアトより話が弾むからな。赤も気前よく使ってくれるしよ。ぜひまたおしゃべりに来いよな。
バトラ様、私めもこう見えてもお嬢様の家具、お嬢様が望まぬことはできませんよ。私が語った赤は本来ならお嬢様が自らの口で語るべきもの。へそを曲げてしまわれたお嬢様に代わって赤き真実を披露したに過ぎません。
やっぱあれへそを曲げてたよな。
Seeing me and Ronove incomprehensibly hitting it off, that Seven Stakes chick cocked her head slightly.
ロノウェ様、ベアトリーチェ様をお待たせしております。お急ぎを。
ええ、直ちに参ります。それではバトラ様、後ほど。ようやく仲良くなれてきましたね。やはり良い友人になれる気がします。
ベアトの陰口仲間ってことならな。
ロノウェ様。
はいはい、それでは失礼いたします。
Maybe it was because she really didn't like seeing him act friendly with me, or maybe it was because she had been told to hurry. The Seven Stakes babe bellowing sharply at Ronove, and he laughed foolishly and disappeared as if running away.
煉獄の七杭が長女のこの私がこの程度の用事で呼びつけられるなんて。ベアトリーチェ様もこの程度なら他の暇そうな妹たちに言いつければいいのに。
何をカリカリしてんだよ姉ちゃん。腹減ってんならクッキーでも食えよ。最後の一枚をくれてやるぜ。
気が利くじゃない。なら一ついただこうかしら。
I lightly pushed the snack plate with the last remaining cookie on over to her.
ありがとう。
Whoa! What? As though coming as a replacement for the period at the end of a sentence, a sharp sound pierced the table. The nails on 3 of her fingers had sharply extended and were stuck, a hair's breadth, into the gaps between my fingers on the hand I'd used to push the plate. It appeared in an instant, so for a while I didn't even realize that her fingernails had grown. The tips of those sharp nails were like blades with a red manicure. The spaces between the bases of my fingers prickled. Those razor-like blades were sticking sharply into the back of my hand and into the spaces between my fingers. By those 3 blades, my carelessly outstretched right hand was not even permitted to shake, and all I could do now was allow a single line of cold sweat to drip down. It's like, I think I just developed a new fetish.
姉ちゃん、そろそろ爪を切った方がいいぜ。
ルシファーよ。それが誇り高き私の名。ベアトリーチェ様にお仕えする名誉ある家具。煉獄の七杭が長女。他の面汚しな愚昧どもとはわけが違うの。それに見合った敬意を示さないと後悔することになるわよ。
どう後悔するんだか。俺には見当もつかねえぜ。
バカな子ね。そんなに遊んでほしいの？そんなに忘れられないの？私の悔いを思いっきり奥の奥までねじ込んでたっぷりえぐって楽しませてあげるわよ。
くそったれ、いつか押し倒して同じセリフ言ってやるぜ。
Well.
あらそう？楽しみにしてるわね。
Oh, okay. Did he just get murdered again? Alright, so that will do it for this episode. So, some interesting information that we've learned. There actually was, at least at some point, a human named Beatrice on the island in a hidden mansion. So that was an actual true fact. And apparently Rosa killed her, and I am assuming the next episode we're going to find out more information about that, because that has got me very intrigued. So the next episode seems like we'll be getting into more information about how Rosa apparently killed Beatrice. And speaking of killings, I don't know, I hope they're going to be happening soon. This has been kind of an interestingly paced chapter so far, but I appreciate all the information we're getting, the backstory about Beatrice. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye. Special thanks to my top-tier patrons, Nana, Sparky, Derek Nickel, Harry Gazif, Asborn Kennedy, and Icognito.